Good morning, welcome to another reading vlog. This week I have ridiculous reading plans, but this week we are in lockdown here in New Zealand, probably more than this week I expect. So that does mean that I should have more time for reading. It might not actually work out like that, but I should. So I'm actually going to try and read all three of these. Is that a ridiculous plan? Probably, but I've got about 400 pages left of The Burning Stone by Kate Elliott. It's the third book in this epic fantasy where everyone's fighting over the kingdom. We've got different kinds of magic and dark elves and mysteries. I have been reading this for a long time, but I want to try and finally finish it. It was actually on my February TBR, but I didn't get there, and I was already halfway through when I put it in my February TBR. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate. So every second day I'm going to try and read 50 pages of this, and then on the other days I'm going to try and make progress on these. So firstly, I've got Across the Green Grass Fields by Seanan McGuire. This is the 6th book in the Wayward Children series, and last night I read, I think, about the first 50 pages, and it's only about 170 pages long. So the part I read was the first part of the book, and we're basically just getting to know this young 10-year-old girl who is intersex, and she has only just found out that she is intersex. And it's especially challenging for her because for her she's always really wanted to conform and be like all the other girls, and now she's not sure where she stands with that. So I believe that what's going to happen next is she's going to find a gate into this world of magical horses because she really loves horses. But I'll let you know when I've read some more of that. I also want to try and read Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. This is another one that's only like 170-ish pages. 150 pages, super short. So I'm hoping I'll have time to get to this as well. All I know about this is it's a science fiction where this girl is the adopted daughter of the Angel of Death or something. I really think the cover's beautiful. I've loved things by Nnedi Okorafor before, and I've heard good things about this so far, so hopefully I'll like it. I do actually have the audiobook of that as well, so I could read the audiobook. However, I have a lot of other audiobooks I want to get to. So firstly, I'm already reading The Camelot Betrayal. Where is it? The Camelot Betrayal by Kirsten White. So this is the second book, the sequel to The Guinevere Deception. It's basically an Arthur and Camelot retelling, except that Guinevere has been replaced by a changeling, and so we're mainly following Guinevere, who's not really Guinevere, as she tries to keep Camelot and Arthur safe. This one I actually think is better than the first book because there's a lot more happening. It's not just Guinevere doing everyday things and constantly being afraid of getting caught. She's much more involved in everything that's happening. I'm also really enjoying her relationship with Lancelot slowly building, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen there because I have some idea of the story of Arthur and Camelot. So I think it's going to be some drama. I also have two other audiobooks that I want to read this week. I want to read Crownbreaker by Sebastian de Castell, which is the 6th and final book in the Spellslinger series. It's all about this boy named Callan who in the first book was about to do his magic exams, and then he realized he was losing his magical powers, and so he tried to trick his way through his exams. As a result, he kind of ended up traveling around the world, and every book pretty much has a whole new cast of characters and a whole new magic system. It's very action-packed, and I have been enjoying the series, and I'm interested to see how it's all going to wrap up. And then lastly, I have Magic for Liars by Sarah Gailey, I want to say. And all I know about this is it's some kind of magic school, so I am excited to get to that this week as well. Hopefully. Maybe. I thought I was going to have a lot of time for audiobook reading this week before I found out that it's lockdown. And it's also raining, which means it's not a great time for lockdown walks, so then I don't end up with a lot of audiobook listening time. However, I am already halfway through The Camelot Betrayal, and it's only Tuesday morning, so I think I'm doing okay. Anyway, it is Tuesday morning. I'm supposed to be working, so I better go and do some work. I really need to dye my greys. Anyway, hi, it is halfway through the work week. I'm kind of surviving. I'm kind of tired, but I have managed to finish my first book of the week, and that is The Camelot Betrayal by Kirsten White. In this book, to be honest, I was considering not continuing this series because the first one, I felt like it was just a lot of Guinevere worrying about whether she was doing the right thing or what she was supposed to do, and then I just got really disengaged, and then the ending was kind of confusing, and I didn't really remember what had happened. But the second one I thought was so much better, and I'm so glad that I decided to continue the series. There's so much where Guinevere's trying to decide who to trust, and you don't really know who is the right person to trust. It almost seems like you can't trust anyone. We're learning a lot more about Merlin's plans. We had Morgan Le Fay come along. We also had Guinevere's sister turn up, which was really interesting. As well, I'm really liking how the relationship is developing between Lancelot and Guinevere, and kind of the way that this retelling has twisted that is really interesting. Although it's kind of frustrating because I really liked that. And now, when am I going to get the next book in the series? This is the problem with reading series when they're not finished yet. Anyway, I did enjoy it, so that's good. Next, I'm going to pick up Crownbreaker by Sebastian de Castell. In fact, I'm going to go for a walk after this and see if that helps to wake me up. As well, I did read about 30 pages of this. 34 pages last night. What was happening last night? There's a few different things. Our main character, Liath, she is in this place where she's trying to learn about this mathsy astronomy type magic. And she basically has to solve this astronomy problem in order to prove that she's a real mathematici, I think they call them. And she's kind of trying to figure out how to prove that the Earth is round. But I suspect myself that she also needs to figure out that the Earth is not fixed in place, because it seems like that's something they believe at the moment, that the Earth is fixed and everything else goes around the Earth. So I'm kind of finding that mathsy astronomy aspect really interesting. As well, another one of our characters ran into an enemy from a previous book, so that was interesting. And I am enjoying this, but still not getting through it super fast. Tonight I think I'm going to read some of Across the Green, I don't know where I put it, Across the Green Grass Fields, and then I'll read some more of this tomorrow night. I guess that's how I'm doing it. Anyway, it must be walking time.
I would love to be your stars and moon, your sun. I would love to be that one. I'd love to be the one to make you laugh. I'd love to be the one who'd always say that I love you back.
Hello, so it's my lunch break. I thought I'd catch up with you. We're actually having a pretty crazy day here in New Zealand, kind of. I mean, it's lockdown, so we're disconnected. But last night there was an earthquake, and I woke up and I felt like my whole bed was swaying side to side, and I just thought, I was so tired, I just thought, oh, it's an earthquake. And then I rolled over and I went back to sleep, and I kind of forgot about it until I woke up in the morning and I saw a tweet about the earthquake, and I was like, oh yeah, that did happen. It wasn't just a dream. So it was kind of way out in the ocean, like a couple of 100 kilometers away, but it was really big earthquake. So the first one was a 7.4, but it was quite deep. Then this morning at like 6:30 there was another one. I didn't feel that one. I was probably way dead to the world and already accepted that there were earthquakes going on. But that one was an 8.0, and it was like only 20 kilometers deep, I think I'm saying. So now, living on the coast and living on an island, we're all in tsunami watching mode. So lots of people are having to evacuate from the coast. So I live inland a little bit and up on the top of a hill, so I don't have to worry, but I know a bunch of people who are having to leave their homes. In Auckland it's not so bad, but like further north and all around the east coast. And it's also just like massive earthquakes happening that close. It's kind of somewhat like, is this the end of the world? Is this the beginning? I mean, it's been feeling like an apocalypse for a little while in the world, hasn't it? Hasn't it? Anyway, let me update you on my reading. I haven't really read that much. I've been feeling kind of crappy all this week, and I was like, oh, why am I feeling crappy? Maybe I've got COVID. But then today I remembered, it's that time of the month. These are the symptoms that go with that. So now that I've started things, I'm feeling much better, which is good. I can start being productive again maybe. Last night I did go for a big walk, which was really nice actually, although too many people had the same idea because it was the first sunny day of lockdown. So the park was like packed with people. It was really hard to avoid people. But I went to a quieter part and I walked back kind of later at night, and it was really nice. It meant I didn't get anything else done last night, but whatever, it was relaxing, made me feel better. Also, what I did manage to do while I did that big walk is I was listening to Crownbreaker, and I'm now about halfway through it. What I always find with these books is because they're so action-packed, I always feel like we're getting to the end, and then I realize we're only halfway through. So kind of the things that are happening now feel like we're really close to the climax of the story, but actually there's still a whole bunch more to happen. I do like this book is kind of things coming full circle, which you would expect from the final book. Callan is really having to deal with his family a lot more and learning a lot more about what's going on there. And he's kind of being sent on this quest to kill someone, but he's not really a killer. And so he's trying to work out, is it the right thing to do in this circumstance or not? But a lot of people are trying to manipulate him into doing it. I hope he doesn't do it myself. Also, at the beginning of this audiobook, there was a little introduction by the author, and I thought that was really nice in kind of explaining how his view of magic had influenced the story that he'd written. And I thought it was quite insightful. I haven't read anything else, have I? No. Anyway, I better go and have lunch since this is my lunch break. Check the news, see if anyone's been washed away yet. And I'll catch up with you guys later. So honestly, I was just editing this vlog and I think it's hilarious that I thought I was feeling better and that I was going to be super productive, because actually the opposite of that, still feeling kind of crap all weekend. I've just had the most laziest weekend, but I guess I needed it. Good news for the country, so no tsunamis, and as well we're now out of lockdown, or we're in level 2 lockdown, which is pretty much kind of normal-ish, but they just limit big crowds. So next week I guess we'll be back to kind of normal. Maybe I can even start feeling less crap. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I did manage to get a little bit of reading done today. I was procrastinating doing all the things I wanted to do, and then I decided, well, I'll just read then. At least then I can be lazy and productive-ish. So I finished off reading Across the Green Grass Fields, and I did enjoy it, but it's very simple. I think this is probably the most simple of all of these books in this series, and it felt the youngest. Like the story, I don't know what it is, but it feels almost middle grade. And the twist at the end, I definitely guessed that right from the beginning. Although I'm not entirely mad about it because I kind of liked it. I did like the message of this about finding out who you want to be. But also, as often happens in these, the actual action of the story was very short, and then we were back out of this magical world so quick. And so even though I enjoyed it, I'm kind of dissatisfied because it was so quick, even though of course I knew it was going to be short. But still, I would say that I enjoyed this more than some of the other ones that are more based around the school. So maybe, even though I'm saying I'm dissatisfied with it, maybe it's like my 3rd or 4th favorite in the series. Ooh, if it's 4th favorite, that puts it in the bottom half. I think it's probably the 4th favorite. Anyway, if you're enjoying this series, you'll probably like it. I did enjoy all the different kinds of magical horses, although there are only a few pictures in here, and I think it could have done with a few more pictures, to be honest. What else? I listened to a bit of Crownbreaker today, but I don't know that I have much to tell you. Something interesting did happen with the person that Callan's supposed to be killing, but I feel like saying anything about that would be spoilers, but it is going in an interesting direction, and we're really learning a lot more about the Argosy, which are like these traveling philosophers, and I'm really liking what we're learning about them. So I guess I will try to find some more audiobook listening time. I just really haven't had any since I've been staying home and been too lazy to go for many walks. Since I went for that one the other night, which was a really nice big one, I did feel better after that walk. Maybe I should go for a walk tonight. There's a little bit of time left in the evening, although I was going to dye my hair. It's like a toss-up. Do I dye my hair, which is looking atrocious, or do I go for a walk, which would make me feel better? I don't know. We'll see what happens. As well, I started reading Remote Control, so I was kind of thinking of finishing this tonight, and I still might, because it's only 150 pages, and I'm nearly 50 pages in already, and that's only like the first couple of chapters. Also, I still don't really know what's happening yet. We're following, so we got one chapter which is her in the current time, and she turns up at this rich family's house, and they obviously think that she is going to kill them. And she does have this kind of strange power which they're calling remote control, where she lights up all green, and I don't really know what she can do exactly yet. Control things around her. I don't know, she's also got this really cool fox companion. And then the second chapter was kind of like her origin story, or the start of it, where this something falls from the stars and she finds it when she's a young child, and she kind of has this relationship with it. But again, what is it? What is happening? Not really that clear yet, but I am enjoying it. So I'll see if I can read this tonight. Maybe I'll walk around the house and read it. It's one of these nice books for walking around with, not like the Burning Stone that's over there and it's way too chunky for walking around with. The summary is that I haven't read nearly as much as I wanted to this week, but whatever. I guess I don't know what I'm doing with this vlog. I'll probably try and finish this and then finish the vlog off. We'll see what happens. So this is me playing with this new ring light that I bought, like the cheapest, crappiest one, but maybe it does something good for when I'm filming later at night. Worst time to be trying to light my face up because I dyed my hair last night and I stained my skin all over the place because I was too lazy to do things properly, and now I suffer the consequences. Also last night I did not manage to finish this, no matter how optimistic I was, but I did get halfway through. So far it's just mainly this young girl as she goes through these really traumatic events, and through that she's kind of developing this power. Oh look, the light does not work well on that, although that's kind of what her power seems to be. Like when she gets hurt, she puts out this green light and anything that's hurting her around it will be destroyed, although it seems like when she's younger she has less control over it, and it's only as she gets older she can maybe control it more. I am really enjoying it, but it's kind of upsetting as well. I'm going to try and finish reading it now rather than doing the other things on my to-do list because I'm still procrastinating at life. As well, I did manage to finish listening to the audiobook of Crownbreaker today, and I think it was a pretty good ending to the series. I also think the audiobook had some really good like little additions with the introduction that he did, and he also did kind of this explanation at the end, which I actually think maybe I wasn't 100% satisfied with that ending, but then when he did his little explanation of the fact that the story now belongs to me and I can imagine any ending I want, like, it's actually okay. And I felt like everything that happened was really consistent with everything that Callan had learnt along the way. Most of the different character threads were somewhat wrapped up. I do think it was a good ending to the series. Anyway, I'm going to go and attempt to read this, and then I will be back momentarily, hopefully, when I have done that. Hello, it is not momentarily, but I did finish reading this last night. It was just late and I didn't want to film, so I didn't. But I'm here to tell you now what I thought about this, and the truth is I really love this. Like, it's very strange and it's not really what people were saying at all. So the synopsis everyone is saying is that she is the daughter of the Angel of Death, but that's more a rumor that people are saying about her, and you never really know exactly what happened, although I guess you can make some pretty strong guesses. I really think I would like to reread this. If I get the time, I might still listen to the audiobook that I have, but I suspect it might return itself before I get to it, but I might still try it. It's really just this young girl having this awful power kind of thrust upon her, and she's trying to figure out how to live with it, and it's kind of isolating her from other people in a lot of ways. She ends up in some really dangerous situations. But I also feel like I really want to think about this for a long time because I think there's probably a lot of themes that I'm missing. Also, this is set in like a futuristic world. So there's this RoboCop who has these drones and like monitors traffic. And there's these jelly tallies, which are like televisions that are like on the wall. It's never really explained, but it's like just kind of a nice little extra on the side. And there is definitely something going on with this corporation that's somewhat involved with things. I don't know, it's such a strange short little story, but so different from most other things that I've read. And even though I feel like I didn't necessarily understand all of it, like I understood what happened, but did I really understand everything it was trying to say? No, I could definitely read this multiple times. I really enjoyed it. I do recommend it if you want a weird science fiction-y magic-y story. So, with that read, that is kind of the end of my reading week. I mean, it's Tuesday, it should have ended already, but we've extended it. I didn't quite read everything that I wanted to read this week, but I still think I did okay. I read this, Across the Green Grass Fields, which was about the same size. I listened to a couple of audiobooks. I only read a couple of chapters of The Burning Stone, but you know, like I tried, and I made some progress. That's good. And the main thing is that I read some books that I really enjoyed. So, do let me know if you've read any of these books that I talked about in this vlog, because I would love to talk with you more about them down in the comments, or even if you're interested in reading about them, I'd love to hear that too. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.